Hey guys, it's Rodimus Primal and Aerith, and we are back with another video, and today we've got some sad news to tell you, we have some interesting news to tell you, and we have some awesome news to tell you. Awesome, yeah. So sit back, relax, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and let's transform and roll out.
Roll out.
Okay, so the first bit of Transformers news that I want to tell you is a little bit of sad news, and that has to do with a particular Transformers writer who was beloved to not only Transformers fans, but also to fans of He-Man and to fans of Babylon 5. That is that Larry DiTillio. He was the writer for many of the first and second seasons of He-Man and the Masters of the Universe. He is a co-creator of She-Ra and the Princess of Power. In fact, he named all of the different She-Ra characters and made the She-Ra series Bible. He was one of the main writers, I believe, for Babylon 5, which is something that Grandpa, that's right, that my dad was a big time fan of. So that's sad news there. And he was also one of the co-head writers, I believe he was one of the showrunners for Beast Wars. And it was because of both Larry DiTillio and Bob Forward that they decided to bring in Ben Yee into Beast Wars so that we had a G1 tie to Beast Wars. It's the reason why all of the continuity in Beast Wars is connected to the G1 cartoon, and he really helped make Beast Wars such an enjoyable cartoon. I know there's a lot of people who don't like Beast Wars because either the animation or they don't like the idea that the Transformers had turned into animals, but they really did their best to try to make the cartoon as enjoyable as it was. And
what happened?
Yeah, Larry DiTillio passed away. It's a really sad day to hear about that, because he was really beloved. Apparently, he had met a lot of people at different conventions. A lot of people really loved having their opportunity to meet him. I didn't, but my condolences are to his family. I believe he's either 71 or 79. There's been conflicting reports, and I don't know what the true number is. They did say that he had passed away from Parkinson's disease, which is a really sad, and our condolences go out to his family. The next bit of Transformers news is really interesting, and the reason why it's interesting is because my whole YouTube channel was started about one of these inconsistencies. And in LA over this past weekend, there was TFCon. I wasn't there, and apparently the scriptwriters and voice actors, a lot of people were there. I would have loved to have gone, but unfortunately, it's very expensive for a plane ticket out to LA. And hotel stays, really expensive. So one of the questions, I don't know if it was asked this weekend or if it was asked, another day, but Flint Dille was asked, and that is, who became Cyclonus? And the interesting thing about this one, Aerith, you got Cyclonus?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cyclonus was, who was he? Was he Bombshell or was he Skywarp? Was he Bombshell or was he Skywarp? Say Skywarp.
Sky.
So when Flint Dille was asked, he said in the fall of 1986, I would have been able to tell you, but right now I'm going with Skywarp. And I thought that was awesome because I've been on the Skywarp side for how long? And so it's right out of the horse's mouth that it was Skywarp. Look, Aerith, look at the camera. Show everybody you got Bumblebee. What do you got there?
Bumblebee.
Okay, so the next bit of Transformers news has to do with this little guy. And who's that?
Yeah.
That's right, it's Bumblebee. Alright, so she couldn't sit still. But anyway, so coming off of the coattails of what I said on Saturday, Lorenzo Di Bonaventura definitely said that they are working on 2 scripts. but there was a mistranslation as to whether or not it was a follow-up to Transformers The Last Knight. And there's also some things that he said in an interview with Collider, and another interview he said that could be seen on GameSpot, which I'm going to leave links to all of these, articles, but I'm going to read some of them to you here. Several times the audience asks in different ways, I want to get to know a Transformer better. We did that. In some respects, definitely a tip to what the audience has said to us. The interesting part is when you set out to do something like that, you don't exactly know the ramifications of it. In this case, the ramification it was, for the people who didn't love the movie, was not enough action. Because you're telling a more intimate story, therefore you can't. So the criticism we got from fans was like, hey, come on, it was funny, I was just in Japan, and one of the reporters said to me, I love the movie, I love this. I was very tired of Michael Bay. I said, I've heard this before. And he goes, but after watching this film, I kind of wish it had a little bit more Michael Bay. It really was funny. Listen, I completely understand. I like what Michael does too. 2 different films, 2 different attempts. Several lessons came out of this. One is that we have the freedom to tell almost any story. The other is that how strongly the audience identified with the strength of the character and emotion. I know the next Transformers movie, our attempt anyway, is to sort of do a fusion of Bumblebee and the Bay movies. A little bit more Bayhem. Ugh. And a little bit more of the character and falling in love and emotional dynamic of the movie. One of the things that I want to do, I hope we pull it off as we did with Bumblebee, is he's so cute and accessible, but he can't talk. I think the more human we can make these characters, the more people are going to like them. Alright, so taking from this, it's bringing a lot of people throwing a lot of pitchforks, and people are getting up in arms because they hear the word Bayhem. And when I think Bayhem, honestly, I think of 2 Transformers going at it like this, the camera shaking. I think lots and lots of needless explosions. I think of shaky cam from the humans' foot perspective looking up at the robots fighting off screen, and you can't really tell who's fighting who because they're all gunmetal gray, and the robots don't look like anything that you can make out, because that's more realistic when we've had character designs for how long that, and again, I'm not just talking about G1, I'm even talking Beast Wars, and I'm even talking Robots in Disguise and the Unicron trilogy, all the way up to leading to these movies, and then of course animated and Prime and all the different Transformers series. You can at least make out what Transformers who on screen. It's kind of very hard to tell, and so when I think of Bayhem, that's what I think. And so of course a lot of people do think that way because they sit there saying, I'm tired of that, and there's way too many explosions, and but then you see Bumblebee doesn't have as much action as Michael Bay's Transformers movies. So what he's saying is I want to bring more action, and I can get behind that if you can get a good director. One that doesn't make needless explosions, can at least frame a shot that looks, I can tell what's happening on screen. Travis Knight did a great job of that. The final action sequence in that movie, in Bumblebee, was amazing, and I got really, really excited about it. Well, then there is another article that Lorenzo had another interview, and this one, especially on the coattails of hearing Last Prime Speculator's rant, which was epic, by the way. I got to give a shout out to him because Last Prime Speculator just went off on Lorenzo, and it's absolutely hysterical, and it really is like what a lot of fans feel about the direction that the Transformers movies is going, and they want to see they're Transformers fans are passionate. We're passionate fans. That's what we are. So and his rant is worth watching. But going off of this article, the main Transformers movie we're working on is a reboot. I will say that the Bumblebee sequel will be more directly linked to the timeline that we set up. I think Paramount should just pick the best script and release that first. I don't think there is a simple plan in terms of what movie comes out first, and I always think you should go with the best script first instead of planning a franchise based on release dates. And I can agree with that because, so he's finally saying that yes, that this is a reboot, that they are straight up restarting the franchise over, I'm not sure if this is necessarily connected to Bumblebee. Bumblebee is the start of it, or if the next movie is a straight reboot and the Bumblebee movie was a prequel and everything else after it is a reboot. We don't know. Well, at least it makes a lot of the people who are up in arms about whether or not it's a reboot or not, kind of puts it to bed. It pretty much is stating that, yeah, at this point, the franchise has been rebooted. And I know the fans that are angry about, the fact that, again, that Unicron was kind of introduced in The Last Knight, and The Last Knight was not well received, and a lot of people didn't see Bumblebee because of The Last Knight. And, well, here is my honest opinion about that. Unicron has devoured 27% of the known Transformers multiverses. So maybe the Bayverse is one of them. But what we do know, and looking at this right here, is the box office numbers for Bumblebee, not including Japan. And when you take a look at the domestic gross, you have $127 million is what was made domestically. Now understand something, this came out at Christmas, and this came out at a time when you had the competition of Aquaman and Mary Poppins. It really, really put a dent in Bumblebee's box office returns. But positive box office feedback, people coming out of the movie and saying, oh, it was actually really good, you should see it, you should see it. It helped bring the money up because the opening weekend wasn't as strong as it could have been. However, the production budget was $135 million, and they made $332 million foreign, not including Japan, because it opens up in Japan on the 22nd. So it brings up the total box office numbers so far to $459 million. That means that the movie definitely made a profit. And the fact that it made a profit can say to investors, hey, we can make the next Transformers film, and the next Transformers film can be good. So here I showed this to you, and the reason why I showed this to you is to show you that the movie did okay domestically, all things considered, for the fact that the movie had strong competition. It came out at Christmas, not in the summer, and it was coming off of the coattails of the fact that The Last Knight sucked. Now, mind you, I'm middle of the road, but to a lot of people, The Last Knight was just a terrible movie, and nobody wants to see a sequel, or a prequel for that matter, to a movie that is a bad movie. Normal movie-going audiences do not want to be hoodwinked into seeing a movie when they don't like the last one that came out. And also, it's the sixth movie in a series. It's kind of tiring to try and see that many movies over the course of so many years, especially when the box office returns domestically have been going down. They went down for Age of Extinction, and they went down even further for The Last Knight, and obviously it only went so far for Bumblebee. And it's not like the MCU, where the MCU is almost like bad movie proof, because some of the bad movies in the MCU still made a lot of money. But Transformers is not that way. Transformers needs to have good, solid storytelling. Whatever the next Transformers movie is, needs to be a good, solid movie. And that's how I feel about it. It doesn't, to me personally, I want the G1 designs, but some people want the Bayverse designs. I'd be happy with a hybrid that looks more like the G1 characters, like we got in Bumblebee. The Bumblebee movie robot designs were great, were fantastic in comparison, and the shots in that movie were awesome, and the action sequences in that movie were good. If you don't care for the human interaction, I don't care for the human interaction either. I want to see more robot action on screen. And I want to see robot action, but I want the robots to be the stars of the show, and I want them to have good, solid storytelling. But I don't know what you guys think. What do you think of all this Bumblebee news? The fact that it is a reboot. Are you still on the fence about that whole argument, or are you convinced now after it came out of the horse's mouth that they are rebooting the franchise? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Be sure to like this video and subscribe. Check out my other videos as well. I've got another Transformers discussion video for a very cool cat. So you can stay tuned for that. Be sure to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Check me out on Patreon if you want to help support the channel. I do have merchandise now on Teespring, so you can check out the merchandise there. And as always, guys, until next time, till all are one.